Now, from that time, the Jesuits broke into different organizations, and the organizations that they broke up into were Masonic organizations. So the two prominent Masonic organizations are the ones that we would be most acclimated with are the Knights of Columbus, or the Knights of the Golden Circle, and the Knights of Malta. The first one that we're going to speak about is the Knights of Columbus, or the Knights of the Golden Circle. The Knights of the Golden Circle is where we get the Ku Klux Klan from. All right, so this is just, again, all roads lead back to Rome. The Jesuits formed the Ku Klux Klan. Now, there's two facets to the Ku Klux Klan. We have the real Ku Klux Klan, and then we have the Ku Klux Klan that we see on TV or that we've read about in school, where people put on sheets on their heads and put robes around themselves, and then go around burning people's homes and putting crosses on people's homes. But that's not the original Ku Klux Klan. And actually, the original Ku Klux Klan didn't like those Ku Klux Klan, that Ku Klux Klan. They called them carpetbaggers. Also, there were black members in the KKK, and there's still black members in the KKK today. the Knights of the Golden Circle, the true KKK. All right, so in the book by Jesse James, entitled Jesse James and the Lost Cause, it reads, "It was right there at this spot that we decided then and there we would join the secret military police system of the old Southland. The organization was the original Ku Klux Klan. Some of us were already members of the Knights of the Golden Circle. A brand new idea came into being. Since our faithful Negro cooks had helped us without fear, we elected to include into the Ku Klux Klan as many trusted Negroes as we could gather around us." So believe it or not, in time we had enlisted and trained nearly 20,000 Negro KKKs into our police system, so that the Negroes could police and supervise their own race of people, thus freeing us from more dangerous and critical details in dealing with the renegade whites and those lousy carpetbaggers. Those were the fake KKK, the ones that put carpets over their heads and sheets around their bodies, and they went out in the name of the KKK. So what happens is, they enlisted these black individuals into the KKK, and they said, listen, you go into your community and we tell you how it is that, you get them to follow after what we want to do. We'll tell you what we want to do, you get them to follow after it. So these individuals sold out their race. They were given land, they were given money, they were given protection, and they were given, you can get a job, you can own a business, you can be a lawyer, you can be a judge. We had many black individuals who became lawyers, judges, senators, owned chains of drugstores in a time period where a black person wasn't even able to go into and sit next to a white person. How is that possible? Why? Because they sold out. And they were given that status, and they were told, listen, you need to push these people to follow after what it is that we want them to do, because they're not going to listen to us. I go into your community and I say, hey, do such and such. They're not going to listen to us, but if you say, hey, we need to go into this direction, they're going to listen. So the Knights of the Golden Circle, just as the Jesuits took kids from the prominent universities, they started taking kids from the prominent universities to get into their white supremacist organization. That's what it is. That's what the Jesuits created, a white supremacist organization, one that's going to make sure that, the whites stay in the position of power that they have been in. So in Yale University, there's created an organization called the Skull and Bones. So the whites have their fraternity. Now, because there's a black side to this, there are black members to this, there in 1904, there's created an organization called Alpha Phi Phi. Alpha Phi Phi, the nickname or the name that everybody will know them by is the Bull, or somebody will call them the Boule. Now they took prominent members from society or from prominent schools and inducted them into the Boule. Now, these black people were given instructions from the white supremacists and saying, listen, you tell them what it is that what we want them to do and get them to follow after us. Prime example, one of the prominent members of the Boule was W.E. Du Bois. W.E. Du Bois, do you know who that is? Okay, yeah, he was one of the prominent member of the Boule. and during his time, Marcus Garvey rose up and he was trying to get people to go back to Africa to start opening up businesses in Africa and to take Africa back. They got W.E. Du Bois to write against or to influence people to not follow after Marcus Garvey and to make him look like he was a crazy person. So he would just influence people like whatever he's doing is wrong, and we need to, we are wherever it is that we are, this where it is that we need to be. And he would just constantly make W.E. Du Bois look as if he's a crazy person, but he was enlisted to do so by the bull. He was given instructions to do so, which is why these individuals get their seats of prominence. One of the individuals that you see here on your far left is Henry Mitten. Henry Mitten is the one that is seen as the individual who created this organization, but he had help from 5 other individuals. Henry Mitten said himself, in the book History of Sigma Phi Phi, the first Negro American Greek lettered fraternities by Charles H. Wesley, on page 28, it says, Mitten wanted to create an organization which would partake in the tenets of the Skull and Bones at Yale. So this organization was just a black version of white supremacy. They took on the same tenets, the same principles that the Skull and Bones had, which is the same principles that the Knights of Columbus had, which is the principles of the Jesuits, which again leads back to Rome. Again, Rome is the one that has the hand over everything that is going on. The papacy is the one that has the hand over everything that's going on. And it says here in that book also, it's the Skull and Bones, the second chapter of a German-based white supremacist organization. Now, the major black fraternities and sororities came after this first one, after Alpha Phi Phi, after the Bull. When you graduate out of these fraternities or sororities, you get, when you reach the heights of prominence in these organizations, you graduate into the Bull. The Bull is actually a Masonic organization. So you graduate into these organizations. So most of the most prominent black individuals have gone through these fraternities or sororities, and then when they reach their heights of prominence, they are entered into the Bull. And each one of these black fraternities has a Greek or an Egyptian, either Greek or Egyptian. It's the same god, but they have a god associated to it. What makes the minds of most African Americans double-minded is that the Greeks are the ones that destroyed Egypt and Babylon and took their culture and claimed it as their own. So these individuals go into Greek-lettered organizations, and they say that they're harboring and promoting their black history and their black pride by taking on Greek culture. And they've learned the Greek alphabet. They're a Greek-lettered organization. They're taking on a culture onto themselves of their oppressors. But when you tell them that, they get upset. This is the logo of the bull. The word bull means advisor to the king, and we're going to learn who that king is. So this is the logo for the bull, and again, the bull means advisor to the king. Now, who's their king? In Revelation chapter 19, verses 11 to 12, we read about who their king is. Revelation 19, verse 11 reads, And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. So we know that as prophecy tells us, the angel of the bottomless pit is who? Who? Satan. The angel of the bottomless pit is Satan. And he's given names here. In the Hebrew, it's Abaddon, and in the Greek, it's Apollyon. They tell us here, Masonic organizations tell us here that this is the god of Masonry. This is the king of these organizations. This is a individual being indoctrinated into the 17th degree of the Scottish Rite. And this reads, The sacred word communicated to the candidate is Abaddon. In the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey on page 145 and 146, Abaddon and Apollyon are one of the infernal names of Satanism. This is taken from Scottish Rite Masonry, the book Scottish Rite Masonry, Volume 1, page 453. And also on this very page, it states, now it's speaking about the induction of an individual into the 17th degree. Tyler touched Tyler's forehead. Tyler is the person that's being inducted into this degree. And it says, when he answers by putting his hand on your forehead, password Jubilum, sacred word Abaddon. So he has to put his name on the forehead and the password or the entrance in, like your forehead is the frontal lobe. This is where God is going to, where we read in Revelations 14, where the name of our Father is going to be written on our foreheads. It's the place of our morals. It's the place of our decision making. It's the place where this determines who it is that we're going to be. Our character is going to be. They're to place their hands on the head of the individual and call the name of Satan. So they're saying Satan has the entryway into my morals, my decision making, my character. So their king is Satan. That is the king that they have over them. Now these are some other prominent members of the Bull. You see Bill Cosby there. He's paying the price of joining this organization. Other individuals you see there are Martin Luther King. You see Jesse Jackson. And you see writers. You see now when you speak about certain people, individuals get really, really, really upset because we see these individuals as gods. Martin Luther King is seen as a god. Well, Martin Luther King was put into his position. He was placed in his position. No one gets to any one of these positions without being placed there. He was placed into his position. He was told where he was able to speak and that he had to be out at a certain time. He was put in those positions and given the ability to. Now, to get into the reason why he died, he spoke of something that he shouldn't have spoken on, and he stepped out of bounds, and that's the reason why he died. But he was supposed to be one of the influential figures to African Americans and lead them into a certain area. What he did was lead us into the area of, well, we'll get to that. I'll get to that. So we'll get back to Martin Luther King. Here you see LeBron James. LeBron James is here. You remember the logo for the Bull? You remember that logo with the lion? All right, that's what's on his chest. That's the tattoo that's on his chest. He is a part of this organization as well. He is set to influence African Americans as well. He is supposed to influence them to support the corporate machine or agendas, or the agenda of again, the papacy is at the head of this all. So Nike wants to make money. I want to make money off of the people in your community. So you go to the people in your community and you put your name on this shoe and you tell them, buy this $100 pair of sneakers. They're gonna go buy this $100 pair of sneakers because it's LeBron James. What LeBron James has to do to get to that point is he has to sell out. And in selling out, he's selling out his people. Nike is not putting money back into the community. They'll do something like they'll throw a basketball tournament here and there and give you some free sneakers and whatnot. But they're not dumping money back into the community. They're looking to take money out. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, all these sports figures, they're looking to do that. That's what they do. They put their names on these products, and these products that cost about 50 cents to make, and they charge $100 to $150 for it. So they get their money. The LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry, all these individuals, they get their money on the backs of their communities, and they don't even make that much off of it. LeBron James made $90 million off of his shoe deal, off of the deals that Nike has with these athletes. They make billions. So them getting 90 million is like, here's 90 million. I could care less. That's nothing to us. We're making billions off of what it is that you're doing, off of sneaker sales, shirts, shorts, sweatshirts, book bags. If people want to put our logos on their sports teams' jerseys, like, they make billions. So what Kobe and LeBron and all these guys make is just a small percentage, but to us, it's like everything. To them, it's everything. And they've said, you know what? We could care less. We'll sell our people out so that we can make the millions. Also, they have to push the agenda. What you're seeing right here is the homosexual agenda that the NBA players have to push. The NBA players actually have to speak out on behalf of the LGBT community and rights for the LGBT community. They're told they have to do that. But when it comes to the rights of African Americans or what's going on in the community today, they get fined if they speak out about it. This is the WNBA speaking out on behalf of African, or what's happening with the police shootings. They were fined for doing so. I remember when, was it Eric Garner, the individual that was choked to death? Eric Garner, they wore the shirts that I Can't Breathe shirts. They were fined for that. If you look at Colin Kaepernick and anybody who's taken a knee with him in protest to what's going on in the country and, you know, kneeling to the national anthem, they've lost their sponsorships. Why? Because the machine tells them what it is that they're supposed to say, the agenda that they're supposed to push, and anything outside of that. If they speak anything outside of that, they're going to be punished for it.